The interview takes a serious turn. The host dives into the elephant in the room, questioning Blake and Ryan about their highly publicized legal drama. With the tension rising, their responses reveal much more than just the surface of the controversy, leaving viewers on the edge of their seats. The host welcomes Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, praising their careers and personal achievements. The conversation is casual and fun, with the host asking about their family life and how they balance their careers. Blake shares how she manages her acting career while being a mom, talking about the challenges and joys of motherhood. Ryan jokingly adds a few funny stories about their kids, keeping the mood light and entertaining. The host asks about their acting careers, bringing up some of their most famous roles and memorable moments. Blake talks about how her career has evolved over the years, explaining how she's grown as an actress. Ryan adds humor to the conversation, joking about any embarrassing moments on set, making Blake laugh. The host, in a careful but direct way, brings up the recent legal issues involving Blake, Ryan, and Justin Baldoni. The host explains that Justin Baldoni has filed a $400 million lawsuit against them, which started after Blake accused him of inappropriate behavior during the filming of It Ends With Us. The host doesn't go into too much detail but mentions that the situation has been widely talked about in the media. Ryan's face immediately shows a shift, and his usual calm demeanor changes. He looks a little tense, trying to control his emotions. Blake, on the other hand, takes a deep breath and tries to keep her composure. She's clearly uncomfortable, but she stays quiet for a moment, clearly trying to figure out how to respond. The host asks if they're comfortable talking about the situation, sensing the shift in their moods. Blake starts to speak, explaining that she felt the need to speak up about what happened on set, emphasizing that it wasn't an easy decision to make. She mentions that the accusations were serious, and she thought it was important to address them publicly, even if it meant facing legal challenges. Ryan interrupts briefly, trying to lighten the mood, but it's clear from his tone that he's not entirely okay with the situation. He brushes off some of the tension with humor, but Blake seems frustrated by the way he's handling it. She gives him a quick glance, signaling that she wants to take this more seriously. The host watches carefully, sensing the tension building, and waits for Blake to continue. The room becomes a bit quieter, and both Blake and Ryan seem more aware of the cameras and the public attention this topic will bring. The host turns to Blake and asks her to explain her side of the controversy, specifically the accusations she made against Justin Baldoni. The host carefully asks if Blake would like to share more details about what happened during the filming of It Ends With Us, especially since it became a major public issue. Blake takes a deep breath and starts to speak. At first, she responds diplomatically, trying to keep things calm. She says that there was a misunderstanding on set, and that she never intended for things to escalate this far. She explains that she did what she felt was necessary at the time to protect herself. Blake adds that she has always tried to handle things privately, but the situation reached a point where she felt it couldn't be ignored any longer. She carefully emphasizes that her actions were based on what she thought was best for her well-being. She doesn't go into too many details, but she makes it clear that she was doing what she thought was right for her. Ryan, sitting next to her, adds his perspective. He looks at Blake with a supportive expression and says that this whole situation has been difficult for both of them. He mentions that they are still processing everything and trying to figure out the best way to handle it. Ryan doesn't go into specifics but implies that the legal battle has taken a toll on them, both personally and professionally. Blake nods in agreement, and while she tries to remain calm, there's a slight tension in her voice as she speaks about how challenging the past few weeks have been. Both seem to be struggling with how much to say, but the underlying frustration is clear. The host listens carefully, sensing the emotional weight of their words. The host decides to ask a more direct question, wondering if this legal drama has had an impact on their personal relationship or professional lives. The host is curious to know if the stress from the lawsuit has affected their marriage or careers in any way. Ryan, trying to keep things light, laughs and jokes that it's been a very stressful time for both of them. He adds with a smile that they've had a lot of late-night discussions, trying to figure out how to handle everything. He even cracks a small joke, suggesting that their kids are probably the only ones who aren't aware of the chaos going on. His attempt to lighten the mood is clear, but it doesn't completely ease the tension in the room. Blake, however, doesn't laugh. She shifts in her seat and takes a more serious tone. She looks at the host, explaining that while the situation has been difficult, she stands by her actions. Blake says that sometimes you have to make hard decisions in life, especially when it comes to protecting yourself. She stresses that standing up for herself was important, even if it meant dealing with public backlash and a legal battle. As she speaks, her frustration becomes more evident. She explains how the situation has been misrepresented in the media and how it has been made to look like something it wasn't. Blake admits that the public nature of the whole ordeal has been the most challenging part for her. She feels like her actions have been misunderstood, and it's frustrating to see how things have been taken out of context. Ryan watches her quietly, sensing the rise in tension. The host looks between them, noticing how their perspectives on the issue are beginning to diverge, and the atmosphere becomes even more charged. The host asks Blake and Ryan how they feel about the public's reaction to their legal situation, especially after Ryan made light of it in public appearances, like on Saturday Night Live. The host points out that Ryan's jokes about the lawsuit and the controversy have sparked mixed reactions from fans and the media. Ryan gives a slight chuckle, as if brushing it off, and says that he wasn't trying to make light of the situation, but he thought humor could help ease the tension. He talks about how he's always used humor to cope with stressful situations, and he thought it might be a way to handle everything without getting too serious. He admits it was a tough time, but jokes that laughter is sometimes the best medicine. Blake, however, doesn't share the same view. Her expression changes, and she looks at Ryan with a bit of irritation. She explains that, for her, this has been a very personal issue, and she's tried to keep it private. Blake says that seeing Ryan joke about the situation on TV didn't sit well with her. She points out that this isn't just some tabloid gossip, it's a serious matter, and she feels like his humor makes it seem less important than it really is. Blake's tone becomes sharper as she continues, mentioning how frustrating it is that the situation has been turned into a joke. She emphasizes that she's been dealing with this issue publicly, but it doesn't mean she wants to make a mockery of it. Ryan, sensing her growing frustration, tries to defend his actions, but Blake interrupts, saying that this isn't something she's ready to laugh about. The host, sensing the tension building between them, quickly tries to steer the conversation back to safer topics. However, the tension between Blake and Ryan is palpable. Blake crosses her arms, looking visibly upset, while Ryan stays quiet, clearly realizing the seriousness of the moment. The atmosphere becomes heavy, and the host struggles to move past the awkwardness. Blake's frustration reaches a boiling point. She looks directly at Ryan and calls him out, saying that he hasn't been taking the situation seriously. She points out that his jokes about the lawsuit and the controversy are inappropriate, especially considering how serious the matter is. Blake's voice is firm as she tells him that this is not something to laugh about, and it feels like he doesn't understand the gravity of the situation. Ryan, clearly caught off guard, defends himself, trying to explain that he wasn't trying to make light of the issue. He says he was just trying to lighten the mood during a stressful time, adding that humor is how he deals with tough situations. Ryan looks at Blake, trying to make her understand, but Blake interrupts him, accusing him of dismissing her feelings for the sake of making jokes for the audience. She says that his need for humor is more important to him than supporting her during a difficult time. The tension between them starts to build as they both talk over each other. Blake's voice rises slightly as she explains that throughout the entire ordeal, she felt unsupported by Ryan. She tells him that, instead of being there for her and taking the matter seriously, he used humor to avoid addressing the real issues. She says she had to deal with everything on her own, and that hurt her. Ryan, now visibly frustrated, defends himself, saying that he feels like he's been unfairly portrayed as the bad guy. He says that he's been trying to make the best of a bad situation, but he's been painted as someone who doesn't care. He admits that the situation has been tough, but he doesn't believe his intentions have been wrong. As they continue to talk over each other, their voices become more heated, revealing the cracks in their relationship. The host watches, unsure of how to intervene as the argument grows more intense, and the tension in the room becomes almost unbearable. As the interview reaches its climax, Blake's anger becomes undeniable. She suddenly brings up Ryan's previous comments on Saturday Night Live, where he joked about the lawsuit and their personal lives. Her voice grows sharp as she tells him how hurtful it was to see him make light of something so serious. Blake looks directly at Ryan, saying that it felt like he was making a joke out of their private struggles, and she can't let that slide anymore. She stands up abruptly, her emotions getting the better of her. Blake takes a deep breath and says that she doesn't want to talk about the situation any longer, especially not on a public stage. She's clearly upset, and it's clear she feels disrespected. Blake looks around the set, visibly trying to hold back tears, before saying, "This isn't something to joke about. I can't keep doing this." Ryan, now realizing the gravity of the situation, tries to apologize. He stands up too, reaching out toward her, but his words don't seem to have the desired effect. He says that he didn't mean to hurt her and that he never intended for things to get this out of hand. However, his apology only seems to make things worse. Blake shakes her head and walks off the set, her steps quick and purposeful as she leaves the room. The host, now left in the middle of the growing tension, tries to keep calm, but it's clear they're unsure of how to handle the situation. The camera stays focused on the empty chair where Blake had been sitting, and Ryan looks helpless, standing there, looking both regretful and lost. The silence in the studio is deafening. The host awkwardly turns to the audience, trying to regain control of the situation. But the tension in the room is thick, and the viewers at home are left wondering what will happen next. The host, sensing the tension in the room, tries to wrap up the interview. They say, "We hope Blake and Ryan will take the time to reconcile and work through their differences in private, away from the public eye." The host adds that it's important for everyone to respect their privacy during this challenging time. As the host finishes speaking, the cameras cut away, but not before catching a glimpse of Blake and Ryan still in the middle of a tense exchange. Blake stands off to the side, visibly upset, while Ryan appears to be trying to talk to her, his expression apologetic but frustrated. The air between them is heavy, and it's clear that the issue is far from resolved. The audience is left in suspense, unsure of how the couple will handle the controversy going forward. Will they work things out? Or will the public fallout continue to strain their relationship? Only time will tell.